Welcome to the Health Capital, the show where we interview entrepreneurs who are redefining the health and wellness industry. Today's guest is Sydney Karmes-Wainer. She is the founder and CEO of French Squirrel, a company known for their nutrient-dense snacks and clean-label organic peanut butters. But this episode goes way beyond food. Sydney opens up about her battles with chronic disease, hormone imbalances, and a full-blown Candida overgrowth. Challenges that ultimately pushed her to heal her body and start a brand rooted in real, functional nutrition. We dive deep into her personal health journey, how it shaped her business, and the hard truths about chronic illness that the medical industry won't tell you. This one's especially eye-opening when it comes to women's health, and I think that everyone, regardless of gender, will walk away with something powerful. Without further ado, let's dive in. All right. Well, thank you, Sid, for joining me. How's your day going?
Of course. Hi. Thank you for having me. Going well. I just told you I had my moment of inspiration and so had to lock into the creative for a second, but I'm here and I got it out. So
Yeah. We connected over social media, I think it was, but then we actually met at the Anaheim show. Was that a productive show for you?
yeah, it was great. I think everyone was asking me how it compared to the year before. I think that was the hottest topic of discussion. This was our second year exhibiting, but my fourth or fifth year attending the show. So I'd say that it went really well. We got a bunch of retail interest from different stores, and a lot of people were there as content creators and influencers who were covering the show, and a lot of press, which was great. But yeah, I did feel though that last year there were more people than there were this year. Just being honest, it was just something I felt was that there weren't as many people this year.
Interesting. I would think it would be the opposite, just being farther away from COVID.
Same, but I just think that maybe the nature of the shows have changed a little bit. I think because of the introduction of social media, it's become more of what it looks like as opposed to what deals are actually being made at the show, unfortunately.
Interesting. Very interesting.
And you,
Well,
did you have fun?
yeah, it was great. Great show. I enjoyed it. First year attending, so kind of an overwhelming experience mildly, but it was new experience. I'm curious to know though, out of everything, what is one thing that people misunderstand the most about your brand?
What a great question. I would definitely say maybe price point, retailers misunderstanding the price point, as well as the innovation of the product. They have trouble over at first. Price point, let's address that. We're a luxury brand. We use quality ingredients, and I don't want to be charging the price that I'm charging. It's just that we have to, given the nature of the chocolate market, the quality of the packaging that we use, as well as the quality of the ingredients, et cetera, et cetera. And then I guess merchandising. So because of the innovation of the products, a lot of buyers don't know where to place our products. And I think that's actually beautiful and telling of the innovation. If it was the same as everything else, then they would know where to put it. And so it's cool that they don't know, because that means that we're doing something different. However, that does present roadblocks, because then they're like, oh, well, we don't know where to place your clusters, your peanut butter chocolate clusters. And, they are technically cereal clusters, but we don't want them merchandised next to box cereal. We want it merchandised next to chocolate coated snacks, because that's what it is. And so that's where they have a hard time comprehending. But I'm happy that that's the case, because that means that we're breaking into, we're disrupting the space,
Could not tell you how much I relate to that.
With the kraut crackers.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's a very similar story, honestly, for our product.
Mm. I just
Buyers
tried
just
them,
don't
by the
know where
way.
to. Sorry.
I just tried them, by the way, before our call.
Oh, nice, nice. What do you think?
They're awesome. It doesn't like what you think it's gonna taste like. It tastes different visually. I
Mm,
mean, what you think it's gonna taste like, it doesn't taste like that, but in a good way. It's kind of like a little tang, like it's a surprise.
it is. It is
Yeah.
tangy. But speaking to that point about buyers not knowing where to place them, or like, well, yes, it's called cracker, but like it really does not belong next to the other crackers on the
Mm.
shelf. So then it's like, well, it kind of goes next to like the other dehydrated vegetable snacks too. But then at the same time, also, it's like, I personally think that it's a specialty product and it belongs in like the specialty, like next to where all the cheeses go, because that's something that
Mm.
people really like to pair it with.
Okay, I never thought about that. Interesting. Yeah, well,
Yeah,
because, and then also it's gut health focused too. So then it could go next to where the probiotic rich foods are, stuff like that. I don't know.
exactly, exactly. But yeah, all that to say, I really relate to those struggles of talking to buyers and like getting the right placement is very important when it comes to CPG. But I wanted to start also just before your brand, because I know that you've had like your own health journey, and I just wanted you to talk a bit more about that and walk me through kind of your health breakdown, like what kind of happened for you, and when did things unravel and come together.
Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate it. So I think I spoke to you about this on the phone, but I really, if I had to segment it, I guess I've had two health journeys. One was how the business started, and then one was after being a business owner, how the business stress affected my
Mm,
health, which I think is actually interesting. Um, because, realizing that I was this health and wellness founder, but then I wasn't actually healthy and well.
mm,
And I think a lot of founders relate to this because the business at the end of the day is very stressful. So anyway, I'll try to make a long story short, but I guess the first health journey that I was on was after this was around my college years. I went to UC Santa Barbara and I was a part of a sorority, and a lot of women relate to this, and men too, but just body dysmorphia, body comparison. I fell into a negative cycle of disordered eating, and I didn't have my period for many years. And for women, that's a marker of their health, which is something that men don't have. And I think that a lot of women complain about it, but I think it's a beautiful thing. And it's the fact that you have this sign from your body that everything is working okay is incredible. Like, it's easy to know. It's pretty easy to know if you're healthy or not just from that one biomarker. And so I didn't have that for many years, and so I went on a whole holistic journey to get it back naturally because I didn't want to go on birth control. And that's what every doctor pushed, was for me to go on birth control. And I was like, why would I put a band-aid on this problem? Like, I should just have this naturally. I shouldn't have to take a pill for it to come back. So that's what went through my head. And so then I started going to acupuncture, taking herbs, and then I was put on a certain like protocol, if you will, to eat more protein and healthy fats. Women need a lot of healthy fats, even more than men, for fertility purposes. So I started eating more peanut butter and olives and olive oil and butter and like all the things to bring it back. And so I started making these protein bites that I called berets, or when I launched the product, but I was working for Erewhon at the time in their corporate offices, and I would be eating the same snack around 3-4 o'clock every day when I kind of needed to eat something in between meals, and I was instructed by my naturopath to do so. So I made these bites that were filled with protein, 100% cacao on top, a lot of healthy fats. And my boss at the time, who's the VP of Erewhon, said, why are you always eating the same snack every day? And like he didn't know. I wasn't telling him about what I was doing. I kind of mentioned it here and there when I was like sometimes a little bit late to the office or when I had to leave early because I had an appointment with the naturopath, whatever it was. He didn't know what I was doing. So he tried these protein bites that I made. They were in my Tupperware. And he goes, if you don't package these, you'd be stupid. They are so good. And I was like, what? And at the time, I was just posting on my friend Squirrel Instagram. I had a little blog where I was showing people what I was doing, how I was healing my hormones. And that's the snack that I incorporated. And then the business started from there. I started making them in a commercial kitchen. I launched a couple flavors, different types of nut butters. I did almond butter, peanut butter, sunflower seed butter, tahini cashew, all these things. And the business exploded and I couldn't keep working for Erewhon and then making it also. So I found manufacturers. And the whole company has grown into a chocolate and nut butter company out of my own journey with PCOS and not having my period and hormones and all the things. So that's one.
Totally.
In that, and then I can go into the second one.
Yeah. No, totally. Thank you for sharing all that. Uh-huh. In that first journey, was there like one moment that was like super low that made you seek out like the alternative holistic health space? Like, what was your lowest moment?
Yes, I remember it like it was yesterday. I was sitting in the office of the doctor's office with my mom. And this is while I was in college still. And she looks at me after I'd seen her many times before. And she was like, if you don't fix this, you're going to have trouble having kids. And I was like, what? And that just like shook me up completely. And I was like, I will do anything to get that back. Even if that means gaining weight, which is essentially what you have to do to get your period back. Like you have to put on fat, which is a good fat, healthy fat. And that's a lot of my message to women. And when I post on my social media and it's like someone could look fine or like look healthy and maybe they're not unhealthy to you, but maybe they are actually unhealthy and they're not meant to be that size. So that was for me, the kids thing was like, okay, that was a low.
Yeah. How did that make you feel in that moment?
It made me feel like I was damaging my body, like I was doing it and I was responsible. Like it was something that I kind of brought on myself through, I'm not going to say, oh, I caused everything, but I kind of did. Like I went through this cycle of thinking it was healthy. First, it wasn't immediately disordered. It was very naive. I was just like, oh, I want to start eating healthy. Then that turned into eating less. And then that turned into checking ingredient labels like a freak. And then it became like orthorexia, where you look at the labels and then you don't eat anything that's not clean, quote unquote, But that it made me feel like disappointed in myself. I don't know if that's
yeah.
I'm sure there's more there. I'm like not even I need to think about that more.
Totally.
But almost like my future is in my own hands, actually. It's not outside. It's not a drug, it's not a supplement, it's not something external. It's actually me. Like I can do this.
Yeah, so in that moment of like realization, you kind of took more accountability, more responsibility.
Yeah.
And is that like immediately after when your relationship with food started to change?
Oh yeah. I was like, that was the wake up call I needed. It was kind of like a slap in the face almost. There's also more to that too, is like, oh, you're going to have trouble having kids. You're going to have trouble with bone density. The longer women go without a period, they have issues with their bone health throughout the years. I'm like, this is not normal. And I think that like so many women, I'm sure like complain about when they're on their period. And since then, I'm like, I never complain about it. I celebrate it. Sorry if that's TMI. Like whenever I get it, I'm like, this is amazing. This is a gift from God, seriously. And anyone that's like, oh, I wish that I didn't get it, or this is so annoying, it's so inconvenient. I'm like, this is something that I guess not men wish that they had in terms of like the pain that comes with it, but the fact that we have something that shows us exactly how our health is kind of incredible.
It is.
You know?
And I think, like, what do you think about the fact that Western medical system has tried to get rid of the period through
Yes.
birth control? I mean, what do you
Yes.
think about that?
Oh my God. I made a whole video on this on social media a couple weeks ago. I was walking in New York and I think I just flipped the camera open and I started to make a video because I had like this download that came to my head about I know this is controversial and it's a little woo woo, but it's fine. I think you're on that wave anyways, given the questions you're asking me. But like it's almost okay. The female intuition is extremely powerful, and that is almost being quieted. Like I think this I don't want to say they, I don't know whoever they are. It's quieting this knowledge without data. And a lot of people don't understand when I say something like, oh, like I have a bad feeling about something. Sometimes there's no data that supports it. It's just a feeling. And that frustrates a lot of people who think more logically. But I think this medication, controversial, this birth control, shuts off the female intuition or quiets it significantly. Because it's essentially putting you out of touch with our cyclical nature and our bodies. And so if we're being removed from being in touch with our bodies, we lose a lot of our feeling,
Definitely.
and I think it's really damaging to society. I think there are really many positives about it. I'm not I'm not shaming on people who are on it that need to be for peace of mind and also for to be able to be in the workforce and all these things, which is incredible. Like there are so many positives. The creation of it, I think, was innocent. But what it's turned into is a band-aid for so many female health issues. And that video that I said, it's a band-aid, it's like going viral. I've hit like so many hundreds of thousands of views on that video.
Nice.
Everybody knows it's a band-aid.
Yeah, and I think that there's a lot of those Band-Aid type solutions in our society. Different ones for men, and there's different ones affecting women. I think birth control
Yeah.
is one of them. Those for women. I think porn is one of those for guys.
Interesting.
Definitely, I think that it suppresses, our drive. I think weed also does that. Marijuana. I used to smoke a lot, and I really just such a big difference when you're not doing that kind of thing. There's a lot of things I could say about our society and the way that men and women are really being pitted against each other in a lot of ways. It's not healthy.
Well, that's very interesting. I completely agree. I read a book called This Is Your Brain on Birth Control. Highly recommend. I read it. I found it in Columbus, Ohio, when I was there visiting family, and I read it like I finished it on the plane back. Like that's how good it was. Fascinating, fascinating, and I want to talk more about it on social media, but it is controversial. Which is why I get the controversial videos get views because it's polarizing. But this book essentially talks about how, I don't know if you would definitely be interested in this. When a woman is on birth control, the woman's brain believes that they're pregnant, right? So if the woman is already pregnant, it affects actually who they go after as a mate. That mate is often, women that are on birth control, often more feminine than masculine. And actually, the introduction of birth control has affected who women are choosing as partners. And if women are choosing the wrong partners for them over the last couple of years, how does that affect, like, our kids? Are we supposed to be having kids with and having children, furthering offspring with those people? Or are we choosing the wrong people because of this medication? Isn't that interesting?
It is. I've heard that said before. Like who women are attracted to is different, because like the pheromones too. Like just there's a lot of different aspects to it. So yeah, it is kind of scary to think about how that would impact like generationally down the line.
I about that all the time.
Well, that was a fun tangent.
Yeah.
So you said that you went on like a secondary health journey after you started French Squirrel. Why don't you just talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah. And so this is, I think, when I started nerding out to you at Expo about sauerkraut. But okay. So that was, 2020-ish when I was dealing with the hormone thing. And then after many years in business, I started the business August of 2020, and then I was working still full time for Erewhon, and then dealing with the business on the side, and then all these years have accumulated of stress, and I don't think I was managing my stress well, to be honest. It's my first business. I thought that everything was the end of the world, literally. The amount I used to cry before versus now is not even comparable. Like, way less tears now because I realize it's really not that serious. Sorry, where am I going with this? Okay, so this is January of last year, though, I started to notice symptoms come up that doctors told me were normal or related to stress, but I knew that it was deeper than that. And it was just weird. I'm very, as I've talked about, I've said here, I'm very in tune with my body, so I know when something's wrong. Given the last couple of years of my other healing journey, I feel it, I know it. And I start to feel like my dry eyes and like eye twitching and sinus pressure, and every doctor kept saying, well, maybe it's stress. And I'm like, yeah, no. I knew it was related to stress in some way, but it all these symptoms kept coming up. I started to get like rashes all over my body and itchy all over the place, almost like I was having allergic reactions constantly. And I didn't know what it was. I went to the allergist. They told me I'm allergic to dust and pollen, and I was like, what? Like I've never been allergic to these things in my life. Nothing was adding up. And I eventually, go to the dermatologist, all these things. And I've been to now 6 doctors, 6 specialists at this point. One doctor even asked me if I was pregnant, and I said, there's no way. And that's part of the, invalidation, if that's a word, of like everything that I was going through. Because I was like, how are you coming up with this conclusion when I'm telling you that everything that I'm eating is making me like break out into a rash? I don't know. Long story short, after seeing a dermatologist, endocrinologist, all these different doctors, finally find out that I have a gut imbalance called Candida overgrowth, which, if you're not familiar, is we have Candida in our body. It's a yeast and it's an overgrowth. And essentially, it lives off of sugar. I thought I was eating healthy for the last couple of years, healing my relationship with food. Apparently, I was overdoing it on sugar, and I didn't know. And sugar in all forms, alcohol, carbohydrates, whether that's even starchy vegetables like sweet potato and yams and all of those things, grains. And I was actually given medication and all these creams to just, same thing, Band-Aid, Band-Aid, Band-Aid. We're not going to ask why you're getting these rashes. We're going to just give you a cream to suppress it. I actually went on the medication because I was so desperate. I was not sleeping from all the stuff going on. After it wasn't going away, every time I stopped taking the medication, I said, okay, here we go. I'm going to the naturopath. So once I was diagnosed, I went on a whole 30-day protocol, which ended up being 60 days, 90 days. I continued of a no sugar diet to kill Candida, essentially. I had no idea what I was doing. I had barely any resources, but it changed my life. This way of eating. I will never, I have a newfound relationship with food. I think it healed my relationship with food to watch how food could be healing to the body. Everything I mentioned, the eye twitching, the sinus pressure, the allergies, the rashes, gone in 14 days.
Wow.
It was unbelievable.
So what was the diet then like? What were the main foods that you were eating?
It was essentially keto, but more focused on vegetables and fermented foods like probiotic rich vegetables like sauerkraut. So it wasn't just, meat and butter. It was protein, like high protein, high fat, low carb. The only fruit I was allowed was blueberries. That's it. I couldn't have any other berry, any other fruit, no honey, no dates. So when I say like no sugar, I actually mean no sugar and anything that could turn into sugar. So no alcohol, no bread. And it was so restrictive. And then that's when I started to post on TikTok actually like what I was cooking and making. And it started to go viral because everyone was dealing with these issues that no one talks about. And I said that the books that I was reading were so restrictive, these recipes. And I started to create recipes that actually made me satisfied. So, as someone who came from a history of disordered eating, it was very hard for me. But then I figured it out. I was like, okay, I'm going to make these recipes actually satiating.
Yeah. Can you give me an
was a
example
lot.
of one of them?
Sorry, that was a lot.
No. That was great. I appreciate you sharing all that. Can you give me an example of like a recipe?
So I read the Body Ecology Diet, which I was recommended to by a family friend of how to heal Candida, and I would follow these recipes. And I was hungry after. It was impossible. I was like, how can I be eating so many snacks and still not feel full? And that was triggering for me. I didn't want to feel like that. And I said there has to be a way that I can take these principles and make them more satisfying. And so what I did was I remember going to Erewhon and I bought salmon, avocado. I even bought kelp noodles. And I was like, that's low carb. Like I haven't had that in a while. And I start to build my meals to be high protein, high fat. So salmon is high in protein, high in fat. And I would, put it in olive oil. I would cook the kelp noodles, put it in in olive oil and other stuff, my miso dressing, and put avocado on it, veggies. I would add sauerkraut on top. And after that, I felt full. It wasn't just like a clear broth soup with zucchini. And like, that's the type of recipes that I was like, that's what I was seeing online, was all these really unsatisfying meals. I would make beef bowls, ground beef cooked in raw butter with zucchini, asparagus. Like asparagus is known to be super detoxing, high in glutathione. And I ate a lot of zucchini, a lot of asparagus, a lot of cucumber. I would eat steaks. I would make the steak cutting board meals. You've seen those with the egg yolks, the eggs, and the steak. Yeah. So animal based, and you don't even want any sugar after that. That's the amazing part. Yeah. It's incredible.
It's very satiating.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I mean,
examples.
Yeah, no, those are all great examples. Would you say that more people are probably suffering from Candida than we think, collectively as a country? You say it's more common than is typically, because I feel like the average person doesn't even know what that is, Yes.
And you don't have to have all the symptoms to have it. People look it up and they're like, what? Well, I don't have this thing, so there's no way that I could have it. It's not true. It can show up in different ways. It can be diagnosed in different ways. And I started a TikTok called Candida Queen 444. It's blowing up. blowing up because people are like, I didn't know that. So sorry, this is like TMI. I mean, I guess there's no TMI right here, but I would like I know this is so niche, okay? But this is how tapped in I am.
Mm-hmm.
I would blow dry my hair and it would hurt my
Whoa.
scalp. And I said something to this dermatologist and she's like, what are you talking about? And I was like, I'm using the blow dryer and it hurts my head. And this has never happened to me before. And I find out that it was Candida. Like my scalp, it was showing up on my scalp and I didn't know. And I would like itch my scalp. It was also like another, instead of the rashes here, it was like here on my head. And I posted a video on that because I kid you not, after I healed my gut and did this whole thing, my scalp has never been healthier. I don't have this issue. I don't have the issue anymore. My hair has never been healthier. It's insane, all from my food. But there's so much, I don't want to say, oh, everything is food, because there's more to it than just food. Like, it's also an emotional thing, which is another topic. Mm-hmm. Like nervous system regulation. You also have to be detoxing, like sweating, going to a sauna, red light, all those things. Like, you have to get it out of your system. Yeah.
Yeah. I would just, what I would speak to, and I think that all of what you shared is fantastic, but I would really speak to like the stress component of it. Yes. Because and it's not stress in like you have to do less things. It's really just how you approach the things that you are doing. Because if you're always worried about this, what's in the future, that's what really anxiety is mm-hmm. being worried about the future, worried about what's coming, instead of just saying, hey, like, I'm doing this right now, and that's what I'm going to do. It's like, hey, I'm doing this podcast right now. I'm not thinking about what I have to do in an hour. I'm not thinking about all this other stuff I have to get done in the day. I'm just going to show up and be present for this experience. And that is really powerful, extremely. Like, I am a big proponent of meditation and mindfulness and just being present because it works so well.
That was part of it too. I would start meditating in the morning, and I talked to my naturopath about this, and she was like, you need to visualize this leaving your body. Like, you need to visualize yourself healing. And I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. But it's true. Like, if you don't believe it's going to work, how is it going to work?
Yeah.
And it's when, and you get tested. Like, I tried to eat certain things and reintroduced. That's why I didn't start talking about it until after, because I remember putting honey in my coffee for the first time after this whole thing, broke out into a full-on rash.
Wow.
It was crazy. I ate raspberries that I made, dipped in some chocolate, broke out into a rash. And then it's like, okay, now what is this teaching me? Okay, continue. Like, you need to keep going. You got to keep going. It's okay. It means that, like, you're not there yet.
Yeah, no, totally.
Yes.
But I do think that more people would benefit from eating, less sugar overall, not just for Candida purposes, but I think as a country we eat too much sugar, but that's a topic for another day.
Yeah. Do you meditate every morning, and how do you meditate?
I do meditate every morning, yeah. So I do, I started out using an app called Waking Up. It's by Sam Harris. Do you know who that is?
No.
Okay, he's a neuroscientist. He has a podcast too. He talks a lot about politics as well. But he's been a guy who I've listened to for a long time. And then when I started to get into meditation about like 5 or 6 years ago, he was someone who I already listened to, I trusted, and I knew that he had a meditation app. So I just started meditating, doing mindfulness 10 minutes a day. There was a period in time where I was doing like 20 minutes a day, and I'd like to get back to that, but I just sit, I do focus on my breath, and then sort of once I have a connection to the breath, I expand the awareness out to everything in my experience. So my body, sounds, feelings, sensations, and I'm just aware of all of that. And then if you want to take it one step deeper, then you kind of reverse your attention in a way where you're paying attention to the fact that you're paying attention. Wow. And then that takes you even deeper into the meditation, because then you're like, well, what is the source of my awareness? And that kind of self-questioning, introspection can lead to some profound insights.
I love that. Yeah, paying attention to yourself, paying attention.
Yep.
I love
Yep.
it.
Well, I want to ask you also, so was there one in this whole like health journey that you had, was there lessons that you pulled that helped you grow the business? Like, did anything in your health journey transfer into the way that you run your business?
Yes, absolutely. My business only went up after I took care of myself, number one. And I know this came out from stress. So like going back to what, this is why I said food isn't everything. It's healing, but it's not everything. A lot of this is emotional, as we just said. So I can only, the business can only show up and be what the business is if Sydney is showing up in the healthiest way possible. Like if I'm running this, I have to be healthy enough to show up, and have it run to show it up. I don't even know what that means.
You gotta show yourself up, you know?
Show myself up. No, but seriously, did I just make up a new phrase?
What?
I gotta show myself up, show it up.
Yeah, that's how I view it every day, you know? Like, if you view it as like the only, like instead of comparing yourself to others, you compare yourself to yourself, right? So the version of yourself that you were yesterday, trying out and outdo that. I think that's a powerful thing to do. Much better than comparing yourself to someone else because they're a completely different person to you.
Exactly. I love that. Yes, to who you were a couple months ago or yesterday or the day before. Yeah. Yes, so taking care of myself. Number one, absolutely. This was the biggest wake-up call since, I talked about the first wake-up call. This was a second wake-up call. Like, what are you doing? And I was at that one. That's when I was realizing I'm this health and wellness founder that's actually not healthy or well. And now I set boundaries as well. And it's impacted my business a lot, knowing that even something as niche as, today I need to cook dinner at home for myself. I need to make a Candida friendly meal and cook at home. And I know that's good for my mind and my body, and it helps me with my business. Also, I started to dive deep into, because of the Candida healing, a lot of holistic practitioners will tell you not to eat peanuts because peanuts can be high in mold. So I started doing a deep dive onto like why some people don't eat peanut butter, and there are a lot of people on TikTok talking about psoriasis and mold toxicity and like all these chronic illnesses. And I was realizing this is something that I should talk about more, which is that we test each small batch of our peanut butter for mold. And it's the only peanut butter that I eat now, because from someone who is suffering from Candida, you can't have a peanut butter that is, filled with mold, or that's been like a big box brand that's been on shelf for a year plus and you don't even know if it's been tested. I'm the founder. I have the results. I know it's been tested. And I started talking about that on social media. I start saying that, did you know that your peanut butter may have mold in it? Here's why ours doesn't. We use blanched peanuts, which are easier to digest. Okay? Skin's removed. I start talking about this on my marketing. The Amazon sales on my peanut butter, it's crazy. Like, me talking about this, which I unlocked from the gut health journey, has translated into the business. And more people need to know about this. So it's not peanut butter, it's the type of peanut butter that you're choosing. So yeah.
Wow, thank you for saying that. And that just speaks to like, because we were talking earlier about how the landscape is shifting with social media, and the founder-led approach of talking about your products allows people to get more insight into the business, and honestly, they like trust you more because you're obviously showcasing how your intention for this product is to create something that's truly healthy, and it's different than just some big brand peanut butter that you'd see on the shelf.
No, totally. And they're watching me being like, oh, she healed herself from Candida, and I literally ate it every single day. And then some people on TikTok will say, oh, she's just selling something, blah, 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 blah. And my answer to that is no, because I tell you for the first 30 days of the diet, you should not eat peanuts. Why would I tell you not? I'm telling you don't eat my product for 30 days if you want to heal from Candida, because for the first 30 days, you're not supposed to have peanuts, only almonds. Like, I'm telling you don't eat my product for 30 days, and then after, you can start to eat it. So, like, that's the founder journey.
Yeah.
Like I said.
Yeah. Are there any, like, health trends that you think right now that are just, like, bullshit?
Oh, I was asked this at Expo West, I think. And I remember what I said, but I didn't like that answer, so I think I should change it now.
You're allowed to change. You're allowed to change your mind.
Health trend right now. I just am not a fan of all these, like, powders. I know it's not necessarily a trend. It's just like, okay, electrolytes I'll do sometimes. But, like, what is with all these things in a stick and these little, like, what? Just eat food, real food. I don't know. And I'm not phrasing it well. It's just like, why do I want to eat something that's been powdered up? And I know it's like the greens powders and the blah and I don't know, and even electrolytes, like, you don't need them every single day. I don't think. It's still processed. Like, I'll put electrolytes in my water after I went to a hot yoga class yesterday because I know that I sweat a lot. But do I need that every single day? I don't know. What are your thoughts?
So it's interesting.
Even protein powder. I'm over that. Protein powder made me very inflamed. Sorry. Hot take. Yeah.
It's interesting that you bring that up because, well, to start with powders, like, I think, like, to call out someone directly, I think AG1 is, like, the biggest scam on the market right now. I don't actually think that does anything for you. But to move into, like, electrolytes, I think that if you're going to hydrate, like, just put, like, salt in your water, honestly. You can do salt. You can make your own electrolytes. Like, magnesium is very important, okay? Like, I'm a fan of, like, adding magnesium in. I would say more people are magnesium deficient than they are potassium deficient. Like, if you're eating lots of fruits and vegetables, then you're probably not that deficient in potassium. Also, like, sweet potatoes are very high in potassium too. But magnesium is actually one that a lot of people do struggle to get, and magnesium depletes from being stressed, from working out, from sweating. So there's a lot of things that you do that deplete magnesium. But what I'm not a fan about in the electrolytes is, one, they're usually underdosed in magnesium. And then
high in sodium.
Yeah, high in sodium, underdosed in magnesium. But then they also have, like, the natural flavors. They have the citric acid, which I don't know if you knew this, but citric acid is actually derived from
black mold.
Yeah.
So
I know.
I do think more people have Candida than we know.
Yeah. Yeah, and I actually know a couple people. Like, I have a good friend who actually was at Expo, and he's building a electrolyte hydration drink that has no natural flavors. He's using freeze-dried strawberries in his formulation, and also real sea salt and no citric acid. So I think that there's a lot of, like, better for you alternatives to these electrolyte powders, which is funny because it's supposed to be like a wellness product, but actually now it's like, okay, well, there's these things like, well, why do we have all these, like, processed additives?
I want to shout out my friend who has an electrolyte powder. I don't know if you've tried it. They're my favorite ones. Kono Nutrition.
No.
They're great. Alex, he makes these, not makes them, they're electrolyte powders. Kono Nutrition, they have, like, protein powders, but I like the electrolytes, and he's also doing amazing founder-led content. It doesn't have any of those ingredients that we mentioned. But yeah, I mean, it does have, I think a lot of them have, a sweetener, whether it's stevia, monk fruit. There's always something in one of those. But yeah, definitely check those out because
I will. I will. Thank you for shouting him out.
Yeah, yeah.
And then as far as protein powders go, like I think if you have grass-fed whey protein with like minimal, like nothing else, pretty much, like that is the cleanest form of like protein powder that you can consume.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was looking back at my camera roll too, and I was putting, to answer your question about the trends, just don't listen to what every influencer is saying either. I would make these like high protein cottage cheese bowls or like high protein yogurt bowls, and I'd put a scoop of protein powder into the yogurt or into the cottage cheese. It's like, it's already high protein enough. I've dialed back the amount of things. It's like, I don't need a protein powder in the yogurt. I have yogurt. And it's no hate. If someone wants to do it, it's fine. Personally, I was like holding on to a lot of like inflammation, I think, when I was eating the protein powders. Not eating them has been one of the biggest shifts, I swear. Like it didn't work for my body. For someone else, maybe it works guys are different too. You know, I know they like the protein, you guys like the protein shakes post-workout. But for me, it didn't digest well at all.
Yeah, no. I think that, for me, I've been in like bodybuilding and powerlifting for a while, so I was definitely like in that mindset of like hitting my 200 grams of protein every day because I weigh like 200 pounds, and I don't know if you ever tried eating 200 grams of protein a day. It's not easy.
Oh,
So.
oh my God. What, do you do the raw egg yolks? Raw egg?
No, I don't do raw eggs, no.
I'm kidding.
Yeah. But yeah, if there was like one thing that you could tell like other founders in the space, like if you could blast a message out to everyone in CPG, what would you say?
Oh my God. I would say to not look at what everybody else is doing. Like do what you're meant to be doing. Like, what is your purpose? As a founder, I hear all the time people are like, "Oh, who are your competitors?" I'm like, I know this is weird to say or like controversial, also hot take, but like I don't feel like I have any. I'm in competition with myself, actually, which is what goes back to the first 5 minutes of the podcast.
Yeah.
It's just that I'm comparing myself to me. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
Not what everybody else is doing. Who are the competitors in your set? And you need to price your product based on what other brands you're competing against. I'm like, no, I don't.
Yeah. I mean, that's if you're making like a commodity product that blends in with the rest, then maybe you do.
Yeah, maybe you do, but if you're doing something bigger, and you have a mission, find what that mission and that purpose is and share it, I would say. Maybe that's my advice.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
Where do you think the food industry will be in like 5 years?
I think I hope the food industry is going back to real food in some way, dialing back, scaling back to be more real food focused. I mean, I think we all know that it's going more towards that in terms of real whole food ingredients and away from the plant-based alternatives that are actually filled with gums, artificial flavors, preservatives, etc. And I think the food industry is also going to be who's behind our brands that we're consuming, the people. I hope.
Yeah, more, like I said, founder-led content.
Founder-led, 100%. Who is behind your favorite crackers that you're eating? Who's behind your favorite peanut butter that you're eating? Like, what's their story? People want to know.
Yeah, people want to buy from people. They don't really want to buy from brands. It's not as sexy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, we kind of touched on that in that last question, but I definitely agree. I think that the food industry is heading in that direction, especially with like the Maha movement. Like, what are your thoughts on that whole movement?
I think it is amazing that we have awareness on this topic not even to get into politics, just the mere fact that people are focusing on the health of this country is exceptional. Exceptional. Like, it doesn't matter. I think I get asked by family, friends, other people in the space, like, do you think that RFK is going to do XYZ? Is he capable? Is he going to do it? Is he going to say what he says? Is he going to do what he says he's going to do? And I'm like, I actually don't think it matters if he does do what he says he's going to do. Or, I mean, that would be great, but it's just the fact that the conversation is here, that people are having a dialogue about the fact that this is what's in our food. Our country is sicker than we've ever been, okay? The fact that RFK was able to bring on this movement of just talking about it, and that's enough. So when people ask me, oh, do you think he's going to do it? I'm like, it doesn't matter if he does or if he doesn't. It'd be great if he does it, and he should, but if he doesn't, that's fine too. Then it's opening up the conversation for whoever comes next after him. He's starting a movement. It's not going to be solved tomorrow.
Yeah.
My opinion. I don't know what your opinion is.
The first step to like solving a problem is admitting that you have one in the first place. And,
Yes. I love that.
and there was a lot of not acknowledging of that problem and having people in power who just were giving the totally like wrong messaging when it came to that, or not giving any messaging at all. Like, like what's really frustrating me about COVID is that like they closed down the gyms and like they encourage people not to exercise, but it's like the number one comorbidity of COVID was obesity. So you're talking about, a country that wants to be healthier. Like, it's so obvious that we're not, and I'm glad that it's finally changing, because if we really want to prepare for the next pandemic, then the best thing that we can do is, as a country, is get healthier.
And hopefully not. No, hopefully that doesn't happen.
Hopefully not have another one, but...
Yeah, 100%. Oh, no,
yeah. Well, I want to shoot off some like rapid fire questions, if that's okay.
Yeah.
What's okay, to start, what's like your favorite food ingredient that you can't live without?
Salmon. It's my favorite food.
Okay. I love salmon too.
But you said food ingredient.
Well, that counts. That counts?
Okay.
Yeah, because that's an ingredient. I mean, it's a single whole food.
Okay, and peanut butter.
Peanut butter?
Yeah.
You have to say that.
Yeah, I do have to say that. No, but actually it's true.
Mm-hmm. What's your favorite like business or health book?
And it's not necessarily a business book, but it's something I recommend to all young founders in their 20s or people in their 20s. The Defining Decade by Meg J. It changed my life.
Defining Decade.
The Defining Decade, yeah.
Okay. Who inspires you most in the like wellness world right now?
I'm liking Santa Cruz Medicinals.
Okay.
Brendan is on fire. I love what he's doing. Like, he's like, did you see the videos where he's like paying people not to go to McDonald's and paying people not to go to Crumble Cookies?
Yeah.
That's some disruptive content. And it's like that, and it's like, okay, you're paying someone to go get something healthier. So when people can't use the excuse of, oh, I don't have the money for a healthier option, that's gonna make waves, I think.
Yeah.
And I like what he posts on health too, and his meals. And he made like this high protein chocolate lava cake this weekend that I saw. I was drooling all over that. Anyway, love what he's doing, and it inspires me as a founder as well, because he also has his own company.
Yep.
So he's separating it and integrating it at the same time, and I love it.
Yeah, he's doing great work.
Yeah.
What's like one habit you swear by for your health?
Sorry.
No, you're good.
One habit that I swear by for my health.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go say eat real food, and that's coming from someone who owns a packaged product. Eat real food. That's it. when you need packaged products, everyone has to have packaged products. We live in a capitalistic society, you know, like this is something that we are consumers of packaged food, but the best thing that you can do is eat whole ingredients.
Definitely. And if your company disappeared tomorrow, what would you do next?
Wow. Crazy as it sounds, I would start another one. But no. Yeah, I would, but maybe not in the food space. Maybe in, this is so niche. I said it the other day, like in the female space, like female clothing. I know that's weird to say, but I can get into specifics later. But I've always wanted to get into that space. Not necessarily clothing, but like this is like healthy bras and stuff like that. I know you're gonna be
like polyester free.
Yes, and like you're gonna get off this podcast, calling me like that girl was crazy. Like it's not touched on enough. Like, and then you look at all these chemicals in the leggings and stuff like that. Like I've always wanted to do something in that space, like not activewear, but maybe activewear, like bras, all that stuff. I would start that as my second one.
That's awesome. I have actually a lot of friends who are building, clothing companies out of organic cotton, merino wool. Like I know my friend Garrett, he co-founded this company Riker Clothing, and they make these shorts that have a merino wool liner. So it's kind of like a built-in underwear, and then it's like the shorts are like organic cotton. So it's a really high quality product.
Okay, cool.
It's very important for guys too.
No, both.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, okay, cool. That took me 5 minutes to say, but I said it, yeah.
Yeah. What's next for you guys over at French Squirrel?
What's next is retailer domination. So hopefully getting into more retailers, and we do have an online business, of course, but retailers are really our focus. So being all over the United States, and hopefully being in airport stores and on planes one day.
Amazing. I love it. Yeah. I love it. So right now, where can people find your products and follow you on your journey?
Yeah, you can find our products on FrenchSquirrel.com, as well as Amazon and TikTok Shop. And you can also, if you're in LA, find us at Erewhon, Farm Shop, Layla Bagels. We're also at Bristol Farms, Lazy Acres, Mothers. And then outside of LA, San Diego, Jimbo's, Berkeley, we're at Berkeley Bowl. And then we're also in Foxtrot, which is all over the Chicago area, Texas, Sun Life Organics. And the Fresh Market, which is our largest account, is Georgia, West Virginia, the Carolinas, Florida, and in New York, Happier Grocery, Pop-Up Grocer, the Goods Mart, stuff like that. So, yeah, there's definitely more. I'm just giving, that was my quick map.
Yeah, you're crushing it. So, and then where can people follow you?
Sydney_KW on Instagram.
Okay.
And TikTok, Sydney_KW. And I'm also Candida Queen 444, which I shared. And I'm also on LinkedIn. So if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, I do post a lot there. I think it's an undervalued resource, and it's really cool. So yeah, definitely feel free to message me with any questions. Yeah, thank you.
Cool. Thank you, Sid.
Thank you.